One of the things that has changed from for the productivity coaching program across the board in Keller Williams is the delineation between a coach and a trainer or a teacher. So we have what's called KW Master Faculty. They go through a specific training method to be able to teach classes to the Market Center. There's also KW approved trainers. So Kim Giles, for example, our director of education, is a KW approved trainer within our Market Centers. She is not KWU Master Faculty certified, although she probably could be, but she is an approved trainer that teaches certain classes or certain courses. I am also a KW approved trainer. However, in this role, my job is coach. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference. We're going to talk about them as we go through. A trainer or a teacher is speaking to curriculum at the front of the room to anybody that's showing up. A coach is helping you understand your business, your areas of improvement or weaknesses, and then helping coach you or hold you accountable to doing that. And yet it is a two-way street with a coach where you're putting time or effort in and I'm putting time or effort back, and we're working together to help grow your business. Where a trainer is more specifically saying, here's how you do things. This is what you do next. The little bit of issue or challenge that we had was we did not have an in-house broker. So contract questions became a lot of my help or my doing. That will slowly change as Catherine is further onboarded and becomes our in-house broker. She is going to be your contract specialist or person or liaison, which is good because that's really how it should be, is your broker should be providing contract support. Now, I am a broker and I've been a broker for 7 years, so I know the contract, and yet it allows me to stay in my lane and put the broker in their lane. Same thing with Beth in her lane, and we'll talk about that. So let's get started. First, I want to talk about what is Keller Williams Market Center or Metro Center, depending on how you phrase the M. What do we offer? This is what I was just talking about. We have designated people in designated roles. And more importantly, you have several different resources that are available to you, which is part of why you're at this company. We've talked about it before. Keller Williams' main thing is that they are a training and technology company. We have a lot of different resources available for you outside of group coaching. I have traditionally said you get your split.
Sorry, Austin. You keep fading in and out. Your sound is like going, and then I miss words, and then
issue.
Give me 1 second.
Does that sound clearer or better?
Clear. Yes.
Okay, sweet. So I've traditionally said regardless of company, in any real estate company, you obviously pay a brokerage a split. And you get your value for that split with how much support or how many resources that brokerage offers you. And some of that falls on the agent to access them. So for example, if you're not using Command, you're paying for a wasted resource. If you're not plugging into the training that Command offers, you're wasting your resources. It's not to say that your business is going to fail, but you're not utilizing everything that's offered to you at the highest level. This also includes things like topic-specific trainings, whether it's an open house training or a contract class or something of that feature. Ignite, a lot of you have been doing an outstanding job showing up to Ignite at night, and we're going to have Ignite in person starting in September, so it'll give you a totally different perspective. Even if you've been to both, it's also good to still attend it again. Ignite is designed to be for any agent that's selling 36 houses or less a year. Which, by the way, in our Market Center, that's everybody except for like 2 or 3 of us. It's like Mike Cranston and myself. Everybody else sells 36 houses or less a year. Matthew Henry's probably close. Everybody else should be in Ignite, regardless of if you've been an agent for 10 years, 15 years, or 1 year. And so the beauty of it is the more experience we fill the room in Ignite, the more engaging conversations get. Yes, there's curriculum at the front of the room, and yet people can provide insight, tell stories, share different things. And that's one of the beauties of being at a company like this, is you have a culture of sharing. Same thing with courses like Bold when they come back. Director of Education is referring to Kim's classes and that sort of thing. The team meetings, if you're not going to team meetings, you're missing out. There's things that happen in team meetings that are good of good value, whether it's meeting sponsors, whether it's different training. You have recruiting opportunities. You have top 20% consultations once you guys get there. And I firmly believe you will, which is why you're on this call, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to start this off by saying, hey, thanks for being at Keller Williams. There's a lot we offer. We're going to talk mostly about coaching today because that's one of the other resources we offer. And yet there's a lot more out there that's not just us. All right. What does your coach do? Now, this is a little bit different. We talked about this previously, the difference between a coach and a trainer. My job is to grow your business. It is not to teach you how to write a contract, although we do that. It's not necessarily to teach you how to do an appointment or to make your business cards or set up the printer or do some of the things that we've helped you with. My job is to coach you to grow your business. It's also to help you develop systems so as your business grows, you can grow and stay more systematic or fundamental in your approaches. You're not chasing and hunting and trying to kill everything that you can find. You start to build sustainable business practices that will allow you to grow without making the same mistakes that people in the past have made. That's the whole beauty behind the MREA book, is that there are models and systems that hundreds of thousands of agents have worked in the past to prove they work. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We're able to say, oh, this works, this works, this works. And then most importantly, probably to any of this, is I need to hold you accountable for certain things. This is showing up to coaching sessions. This is knowing your numbers. And this is following the systems or the protocol that we offer. If you're not hosting open houses, you're not going to be able to follow the systems that get business from open houses. It's not to say that I'm going to chase you down and say, hey, why didn't you do an open house last weekend? But I do have a note on my end in our system to track those type of things. And then I'm obviously available to handle specific questions. Now, when I say contract questions, when you write your first contract, we're going to walk through it together. And when you do your first XYZ type of deal, we're going to walk through it together. I don't expect you to just watch a couple of videos and understand it. It does change as well. So when you do your first listing, that's different than doing your first buyer side. When you do your first land deal, etc. Objection handling is probably one of my biggest strengths. I'm not tooting my own horn. I've just been learning this business since I was 19 years old. It's been over 14 years in the business. And I've learned a lot of different negotiation tactics along the way. And it's probably the one thing that I get coached on more than anything, or that I study more than anything. Many of you know this. My dad's a broker and has been doing it for, 30 years. And I was getting advice from him last night on how to handle an objection. And it wasn't even really an objection. It was a seller asking me to be present as a listing agent for all showings. And I was asking him, hey, how do you like to handle this? Now, he mainly reaffirmed what I already knew, and yet just hearing it in a different lens is helpful. And that's my job with you guys, is I want to give you different ways to say things that you can then internalize and say it yourself. And then lastly would be ideas or advice. This is me helping you guys decide what to spend money on, what to act on, where to chase business from, or where to grow your business or put extra energy and effort into. And it's not just from things that I've done in my personal business. It's from things that I've been coached on or that I've talked to other people on that I know work. Questions on what a coach does before we keep going? Can you go ahead so I can finish my call? Sorry, my 4-year-old ran in. All right. Now, let's talk about your investment and commitment. Now, before we even keep going with this, one of the biggest joys that I have and why I'm so passionate about this coaching program is you do not pay for coaching as far as a financial cost unless you have a sale. You pay a 10% split. You will not find that anywhere else. Trust me, I've looked. Most of the other real estate coaching companies, you pay a flat fee every single month, whether you sell anything or not. I have what's called an executive level coach with MAPS. That is $1,500 a month that I pay my coach, whether I sell anything or not. Other MAPS coaches, which are called mastery coaches, they are $1,000 a month. Tom Ferry's coaches are $1,000 a month. Brian Buffini's coaches are $1,000 a month. Glover's coaches are $1,200 a month. You see where I'm going with this? They're all, most of the time, $1,000 or more every single month, whether you sell anything or not. Now, those companies wouldn't exist if the value wasn't there for coaching. That being said, we don't expect newer agents or even any agent in the beginning or as they're growing their business to feel comfortable with that level of expense. There are cheaper ones out there. You get what you pay for. And yet what we have that's different is you don't have to pay anything unless you have a sale. So you get a lot of value without the financial cost. Now, that being said, there is still an investment and commitment, mainly of your time, energy, and effort to coaching, to being in coaching. The agents that you may or may not know that are in coaching that don't come to anything, they're not getting the value. It's kind of like that split thing we were talking about before. Especially because you're automatically enrolled as a new agent or for your first 4 deals like we talked about, you're paying that 10% split whether you want to or not. I would rather you show up to coaching and I help you get those first 4 deals as quickly as possible. That's more money for you. And yes, it's money for me, but that's not why I do it. I want you guys selling more and more houses and then opting back into coaching, and then we can grow together. That's where the money really comes. These are some of the responsibilities. There's probably a few that aren't necessarily on here, but these are the main ones that I thought of when I was creating these slides. Now, attend coaching Mondays and Fridays. That's a little bit of foreshadowing there for what I have as a new proposed schedule that we'll talk about at the end. So it's our one interaction on that. Attend Market Center training. Those are team meetings on Tuesdays, contract classes when we have them, and Market Center specific training like we talked about. Those are Ignite classes. Those are when Kim is teaching a class or another agent is teaching a class. Accountability, you're expected to lead generate daily and track your numbers. I'm not asking you to make 100 conversations your first week in real estate. We'll get there. But you should make some conversations about real estate and you should track those. And I'll provide you tools with that, which we'll talk about in a second. Shadow and then host 2 open houses. This is a big one. This is something that we haven't necessarily put a lot of stress on in the past besides the training side of it. And yet, if you are willing to make a commitment to doing open houses, I promise you, you will get business. Rhonda did one on Sunday, and I think there were 4 people that she said came through, and none of them had agents, which means there's 4 lead opportunities for her right there. Oh, by the way, it was a $730,000 house. So if you have 4 buyers looking at a $730,000 house, that's a pretty good return on investment for your time. Now, some of the things that come with being an agent cost money, and I understand that, like purchasing open house signs. I can help point you in the right direction of where you can find them inexpensively. By the way, don't go to RAR to buy anything if you can help it. It's more expensive there. And I also understand you may not want to buy that right out the gate. The best practices, or my recommendation, are shadow a couple first and get to the point of your comfort and training level where you feel confident in hosting your own open houses before you worry about buying anything. A lot of our experienced agents in coaching that are welcoming agents to shadow them share leads with you, meaning they don't take all of them even though you're shadowing. They might give you 1 or 2. Well, there's a great opportunity if you can get that lead under contract, then you can take $50 of that commission to then go buy your open house signs. Or maybe we can generate one from an SOI deal or sphere of influence or something else. If you're coming to coaching, my goal is to help generate income for you. So then making that purchase of those open house signs isn't a pain point. Now you can replace open house signs with a lot of different things. Yes, Keller Williams provides business cards. If you're like me, you blow through business cards pretty quickly and you may want to buy more. Or maybe you want to buy a name tag, or you want to buy passive branding shirts like Eden Property shirts or Keller Williams shirts or whatever your team name is. Notice how I didn't say go buy leads. That's more expensive than everything we've just talked about. Some of the other financial costs of being a realtor are under the license requirement section. Monthly/quarterly dues, your RAR dues, your Century Lock dues, your KW dues. I understand there's a financial investment to being in real estate. And in my opinion, it's not that cheap. It's pretty expensive. And yet use that as motivation to get a sale. Show up to coaching, let me know what I can do to help get a sale and push you forward. Once you get one, it becomes an economy of scale. Your first sale usually covers a year's worth of most of these costs. So we call that breaking even. Then your next sale goes to bottom line. A lot of these things are tax deductible, and yet I understand that doesn't mean it doesn't cost money. And it's not dollar to dollar. It doesn't mean that the IRS is going to write you a check at the end of the year, right, Katrin and Lynn Ann? Now, that's something that I can also help coach you with, is getting you in touch with tax professionals that are going to help you pocket the most money you possibly can. That is something I'm very, very passionate about because I've been burned in the past, not only from taxes, but from making poor business financial decisions, growing a team too quickly, spending money on stuff we shouldn't, etc. That's part of why I'm in this role, because I failed and now I've succeeded and I'm rebuilding it. Now, the MREA, we've talked about this before, talks about a goal of any good, successful real estate business is 40% profit. Meaning if you sell $100,000 you keep in gross commissions, 40,000 of it is staying in the bank for profit. That's after splits, that's after expenses, some of what we just talked about, etc. My business year to date is at 60%, which is quite a bit higher than 40%. And I will share and coach you with ways on how we do that. Questions on your investment or commitment? Cool. Let's talk about my coaching, investment, and commitment because I'm here for you guys as well. Lead group coaching, again, Mondays, Fridays, a little bit of foreshadowing there. We'll talk about that in a second. There's also resources. So you guys would have gotten an email to invite you to a Google Drive called Six Figures by Design. That is a living folder, meaning we are constantly adding things to it, both from a resource and document standpoint, as well as we're going to start adding scripts and dialogues in there. There's already contract case studies in there. There's a tracker tool, the pipeline tools in there. You can access those things at any time, which are resources that you would not get anywhere else. By the way, some of them I've ripped off from past coaches that I've had. So I paid the investment, I made the tool, I've recreated it, and now you guys get the tool. Beth is going to be going over a 90-day pipeline tool today at the team meeting, and yet you guys already have one. We went over that before. It's a pipeline tool. It's in your resources folder. There's also the YouTube channel, which has tons of past recordings. I don't like to plug my own YouTube channel, but it is intentionally on there because you can also see content that I'm making that may not necessarily be for productivity coaching agents, and yet it can still help you understand and grow the business. For example, the pie chart video I put out last week, which is the same thing we talked about in group coaching in person on Tuesday, which is what impacts your monthly payment. That wasn't necessarily intended for agents, and yet you can understand that, internalize that, and then have the same conversations with clients. I'm going to come back to KW Connections in a second. Open houses, I'm going to help coordinate, and I've been doing this, but we're going to do it even at a higher level with the Market Center to provide open house opportunities. The last 2 weekends, kudos to you guys, was a great example of that. I think 2 weekends ago, we had like 6 or 7 open houses happening as a coaching group, which is awesome. And then this past weekend, we had another, I think, 4. And that's with parents moving kids back to school, both college and then high school and middle school, and et cetera, starting this week. So it was a slow weekend, and we still had a lot of open houses going on. Rhonda had 2 people shadowing her. They're probably getting pretty close to being ready to do their own, which means I am going to the Market Center, and I've done this because I send emails out. I don't just post on the Facebook page. I send emails out to the agents that I know that have listings, and I say, do you need an open house this weekend? We have agents trained and ready to roll. It's a value add to them. And I promise you those number of listings are going to be growing because it's something we're talking about as an ALC that we're stressing, that we want more listings and we want more training on how to get listings because listings provide leverage. It's a lot easier as an agent to handle 10 listings at one time than it is 10 buyers at one time. Matter of fact, it's easier to handle 10 listings at one time than it is like 5 buyers at one time. I'm speaking from experience there. So we want listings. It also provides open house opportunities for you guys. One-on-one coaching once you get into tracks 2 and 3. That includes an additional level of accountability. And then as needed support, we've talked about this in the past. Many of you have experienced this, but I'm pretty accessible, especially over text or email. Calls are a little bit harder to get to me because sometimes I'm in my own calls, whether it's Zoom or I'm on the phone or I'm in an appointment, and so I can't answer right then. Now, what I will do, or I do, is I will set up a time to meet if it's something that can't be communicated over text or email. Whether it's contract writing, specific questions, follow-up techniques, Barbara, who's on the call, we were texting over the weekend about different offers she had on a listing and strategies on how to counter and negotiate. So that is something you have as a coach. Now, one other thing that you get that not every market center does, again, not to toot my own horn, it's just something I've been fortunate to experience, is I have an abundant amount of Keller Williams connections. I've been with this company since 2019, and I've been fortunate to wiggle my way into some rooms that I was probably underqualified to be in, i.e. my coach. One of the things that I've found works is if you throw enough of a big hissy fit with maps, they put you with somebody really important to shut you up. And that happened both times I've hired a maps coach. I've been with people that are coached by Gary Keller himself, and they meet with Gary Keller himself quite often. So then I have a direct line of communication to Gary Keller himself. This also allows me to develop referral partners or who to call and bring in guest speakers, which we're going to have coming up in the future. Now, the referral partners is probably the most important one here because that's money in your pocket. If you have somebody that's looking to move in a different area that we don't cover, ask me and I will connect you with a Keller Williams agent and you will get the referral. By the way, you don't pay a coaching split on those. That is money directly to you. And I've done it with several of you. Some of you have found your own, like Lynn Ann has found her own and done referrals, which is great. I can also show you how to find your own and start building your own referral partners. And yet I have at least one agent, if not multiple agents, in every single state in the country. There's 140 some odd Keller Williams agents that I have a relationship with that are in my command that I talk to every single month. So that should be looked at as a value add to you. Another thing that I do with them is I ask them for feedback or input on things that they wish they were coached on or things that were important to them when they were in coaching or things that they're seeing work in their market. So that way I can come back to you guys and say, hey, here's an idea that I had from another agent that's working it at a high level. So you have access to those type of things that you wouldn't necessarily get elsewhere. All right, questions on investment and commitment before I keep going.
One question. So the
Yes.
tracker tool, I absolutely love it, but some of these documents are not easy to convert back. So I looked back at my pipeline, the Excel sheet. If this is an option to share differently, because I definitely wanted to use it, but because it's uploaded as a PDF sometimes, you know what I mean? Is there an option to share it actually as a workable document?
Yeah, that's helpful. So what I'll do is I'll add different file types. So there'll be a PDF, there'll be an Excel sheet, and then there'll probably be like a CSV or Apple version too. So I'll add 3 different types of the same file. So then that way you guys can play with the compatibility of it.
That's perfect. And then I love the case studies. I've done 2 so far. And then attending last night the contract training with Beth, it was really, really amazing. Like the
Good.
examples she gave and the success or the challenges she had or mistakes that agents make. It was really interesting to go through this since the contract just changed in July. But I think everybody should really tap into the contract case studies. It's a kind of
Yes.
practice before you really writing winning offers. So it's really good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to add more case studies in there too. Each of the coaches within Metro Center, there's 4 of us, we kind of created our own and we're going to put different scenarios in there as well. And we're going to start doing more multiple offer trainings too. Not that we're seeing multiple offers on every single property, but it will help your negotiation skills and it will definitely help you understand the contract better to know where are the strength areas to make an offer more attractive. So I think that's super helpful. I appreciate your input. And I noticed that, you jumped on the case studies right away, which is good. And you've actually sold some houses too. So it's not like you were just brand new learning the contract. You're still doing it even as you're experienced. And there's always constructive feedback. The way that works is you do a case study, you send me the offer and I grade it like a school paper. And so I'll give you a couple one-liners back to you. That's ways that we can improve it. So cool. Awesome. I wrote down workable sheets.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to share, and I want to reiterate open houses. I know Rhonda has been doing them and Barbara and Lynn Ann. So I had an open house for Tom and Jane 3 weeks ago. There were 5 unrepresented parties. 3 of them were neighbors. One of the unrepresented parties finally signed on with me. And for basically the past 3 weeks, I've been following up, calling, emailing, providing market insights, sending her the 90-second setup, whatever it is, like sharing information and talking to her. And then finally she called me. She said, let's do it. So it is a
Awesome.
win-win, and I think everybody should really emphasize on open houses. I think this is a really good thing to get leads and do it
Yes.
like 2 or 3 a month. Everybody should commit to this, bottom line. I'm
If
a
you want now business,
Yeah.
if you want now business, you need to do open houses. If you want future business, build a database, which is why we do both of those together. Now, I plugged this before, I'll plug it again. September 4th, we're going to have an event on how to create raving fans or referrals. There's going to be videos coming out on that. It's going to be at Classic Granite and Marble, which is a mile from our office, it's a super nice auditorium. I'm one of the panelists on it, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I want you guys to come attend. It should be free. Details to come, but September 4th, make a little note of that. That will be a great way to help your database side of the things grow. But what Katrin was just saying is super important. Open houses are key, especially for now business. And you just heard she did an open house and had 5 people come through, and they were all that were unrepresented, which means 5 lead opportunities. And she converted one of them, which is awesome. Now it takes a couple weeks of follow up. That's normal. Keep following up, keep providing value, keep asking questions.
Austin, September 4th. I need to put it on my calendar because if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. What
Doesn't
time?
exist, exactly.
What time?
It is check-in is at 9:30. I speak at 10.
Okay, perfect.
So if you want to get there between 9:30 and 10, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll send out an email with the details too when I have the link, because it'll be like an Eventbrite sign up type deal. So
Okay.
all right, I'm going to fly through these next 2 slides, and then we're going to talk about our proposed new schedule. This is just reiterating what we've already talked about. Now, most of you, with the exception of a few of you, are in track 1. The purpose of track 1 is to build a competency level of real estate. It's to understand the contracts and the documents. You're expected to attend the Zoom calls, attend group coaching when you can, work on those case studies we just talked about, and attend Ignite. A lot of you are doing this already at a pretty good high level. And then you have certain tools that are in the resources that will work. Now, one thing I did want to stress here is if you're on Facebook, please make sure we're friends on Facebook so I can get you added to the Facebook group. I think there's like 8 or 9 agents in there. It might even be less than that. And we have 22, 25 on the roster. I cannot use it as a strong communication tool, and neither can you guys until everybody's in there. But that's a great opportunity to say like, hey, I'm ready to host an open house. Or I'm ready to shadow an open house. And it's just the coaching agent, so we can communicate in there. Same thing with what Katrin just said. Like, I got a lead this weekend and it worked. Here's how I did it. Share those wins with each other. It motivates the other people. I want it to be a closed group for just us. It's not going to be clouded down like the other KW Metro Center group is that has a lot of other people in it. All right, and then expectations in track 2, same thing. We do start evolving on some things. You're going to market center-wide training, you're working a pipeline tool, and then you do one-on-one with me, and we'll start talking more specifically about models. All right, this is what I wanted to get to. So I've heard some feedback that 9 a.m. back-to-back is a little tough, as well as Tuesdays make for a long day when it's 9 a.m. group coaching, and then 10:30 to 11 is a break, and then team meetings, and then sometimes there's things in the afternoon. So I've moved some things around on my schedule and would like to propose we keep the Monday 9 a.m. Zooms that we've already been doing. I know a few of them in the past couple of weeks have been canceled, but this will free that up. And then Fridays, instead of doing a morning thing, we would do a 12 p.m. noon meeting in the training room. Now, I know Beth has her brown bag lunch. We've already discussed that this would essentially take the place of that. And the in-person training is going to be a little bit more geared towards role playing, script
Is she
practice.
going to stop doing the brown bag with Beth?
Probably, because most of the people that go to that would be coming to this. She has expressed some concerns about wanting to stop doing it anyways, because she thinks that she can meet with more of the top 20% during that time. But I will bring this up with her if we vote and agree that this is a good time that works. Also, in those in-person things, we would do things like simulated buyer consultations, listing appointments, multiple office areas, etc. So it would become a little bit more of a workshop and a little bit less of a me standing in front of the room and telling you what we should be doing. That would be reserved for the Monday Zooms. Feedback. What questions or thoughts do you have? Yes.
I love that idea.
Sorry.
I love it.
And my camera's not on. I don't know why. It's weird. But anyways, I was wondering, is this for those that have been coming to the 9 o'clock on Fridays for the script training?
Do that too. Yes.
Okay, so that will still be going on. So it's not going to be the same thing repeated at 12, right?
It'll be totally different. Yep, it'll be
Okay.
totally different.
Okay.
Yeah. So now those of you that are going to 9 a.m. role play or that are role playing throughout the week, you will probably be asked to be one of the liaisons that helps lead role plays when we do them on Fridays. It's not always going to be role play. Like every Friday at noon is not always going to be role play. Sometimes we'll do a buyer consultation and the rest of the room will be given feedback. Sometimes we'll do games or multiple offer contests and that sort of thing. And then sometimes we'll do role play with each other. We might practice a dialogue as a group and then say, all right, everybody partner up and one of you be the buyer, one of you be the listing or the buyer agent, and then flip. The point is I want to give you guys more opportunity to practice. That doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. Although if you can get in the habit of doing a role play first thing in the morning, it makes lead gen super easy because then you've practiced for 30 minutes on an agent with feedback and then you can go use that in real time. So yes, great question. If you're able to attend the 9 a.m. role play to payday, still do that. And then we would move our 9 a.m. on Tuesdays to 12 noon on Fridays. Makes it a little bit easier for people to get in the office if they can't get there quite as early. It was also in part because I know with school starting, sometimes getting kids off to school and started the morning and that sort of thing and get to the office by 9 is tough. So I wanted to make it a little bit later during the day and then still give you the mornings available to do lead gen, which is kind of what the model teaches us anyways. Other thoughts or comments or questions on the schedule?
I think it's a good idea. I like it. And I also wanted to point out that we do have, a bunch of dual career. I don't know if you ever thought about doing, I guess, an evening session or like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or something like this. But anyway, I mean, this is good. I absolutely like it. I support it.
Yeah, let's start here. I do think that there are some value to some evening times. That has also been stressed a lot with the Northern Virginia offices. Phyllis Papkin is one of our other PC coaches, mainly works with dual career agents. And she and I have had some conversations about her helping with dual career people that can't ever make my sessions or our sessions. And there's things like Ignite at Night that we're stressing and doing more often because we want to make sure those agents are or have access to these resources too. The other thing I forgot to mention is when it's possible, we will record Fridays. So because we'll be in the training room, I've gotten the guidance or kind of how to set that Zoom up. Now, it won't always make sense because like if we're breaking off with partners and doing role play scenarios, there's nothing really to record. But there will be scenarios where maybe we do 15 to 30 minutes as a group where I'm showing some scripts on the screen or objections and we're having conversations that may help to get recorded. I'm also working with the Market Center on better microphones, so we don't have to just keep passing the microphones around. I'm going to hopefully convince them to buy a couple of wireless mics where we can keep it a little bit more seamless, which will make hearing on the Zoom better.
You also should invest in better dry erase markers.
Yeah, we just bought those and those are already crap, but I think they went on Amazon and bought cheap ones and we need to buy better ones. But that's also worth noting. Dry erase and mics I already had down.
I have a quick comment about the Zoom meetings. Just a suggestion. When you are asking questions and people are on Zoom, we cannot hear the answer from the person that you're asking the question to. We just hear your response to the question that's being asked. So just kind of.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to resolve with that mic issue. Because that's what it is if we don't speak directly in the microphone, you're not hearing it on Zoom. And so what I envision is the wireless mics that you see a lot of like content creators do. So whether it's Jackson videos or my videos or whatever, I talked to my videographer this weekend about which ones he uses. They're only a couple $100, but you get two of them. And so I imagine we having one on the speaker in the front of the room and the other one is being passed depending on who's speaking in the audience. So it's not like passes mic, passes mic, passes mic, passes mic.
What if you got some of those consoles that they use for large Zoom meetings, like in businesses, right? They're like a console that sits on the table and is plugged in.
We can ask. I don't know what the cost of those type of things are.
Well, they have multi-directional microphones.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what the cost is on those. So I'd have to ask because the market center doesn't have really hardly any money to spend. But the DJI ones that I'm talking about are $200. And I also think it would be helpful to use for, I envision probably a 2026 thing, but I envision some in-house content creation where we have like social media days and we bring in a videographer and you can shoot a couple videos and have them edited and cleaned up. If we already have the microphones, we basically need a camera and then we're done. And we can do it in-house without having to pay people to make videos. I think that could also set us apart and be a differentiator. Cool. All right. Any other questions or thoughts on the schedule?
Just to confirm, the Friday 12 noon is basically 1 hour, correct?
Yeah, it'll be 1 hour. I mean, there may be a time where we run over a few minutes depending on how good the engagement and stuff is going. But yeah, it'll basically be 12 to 1, worst case 1:30. I know we'll be done by 1:30 because I meet with Beth at 1:30. So I won't be available then anyways. But yeah, we be at 12 noon. And we would start that this week. Let me confirm. Maybe next week. We'll start that next week. As long as everybody's in agreement. We'll start that on the 29th. So I can
love
send
the
out an
idea of
email to
getting
update
more.
everybody.
I
Sorry.
love the idea of getting, that's okay,
Go ahead.
my turn.
Yeah, sorry.
I love the idea of getting more role play and more kind of practice and like objection handling and that kind of thing, like in real time, because it's a lot to take in all of the training, but it's really almost impossible to put it into practice unless you've done it a couple times. So being able to practice and win in this environment, I think is going to be huge for everybody.
That's great. That's helpful. And you made me think of this too. I want you guys to bring objections. So especially those of you that are in the field and working and on doing open houses and on buyer and seller consultations, like when you hear something, even if you feel like you nail it and you win the deal or the opportunity or the appointment, still bring that objection, especially if it's one that we haven't talked about. Because I may be hearing totally different objections than what you guys are hearing. Especially those of you that are on teams, you're working different lead sources than what I work. I don't hear a lot of objections because most of my business comes from repeat and referral. I already have the business. It's just I'm walking them through the process. And so the objections are not necessarily objections to working with me. They're objections to buying now or selling now or pulling the trigger or interest rates or things more related to the market, which I am very well versed in handling. So that's what my focus will be on versus I don't want to work with you because I want to go with a discount broker. I don't want to work with you because I want to go with this person or this person. Those are different types of objections that I want to know what's being said. So it's helpful to everybody. I'm a little bit kind of fortunate in a way, but because I've been doing it a long time, I have that book of repeat business. I understand and appreciate if you don't have that book of business yet, you're still trying to earn it. And so we want to make sure we're covering both ends of the spectrum. So bringing objections to those Fridays calls will be super helpful as well. Or Friday meetings, not calls, but you get it. Okay, cool. Any other thoughts or questions on the schedule?
Nope, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Awesome. So I will send an update.
just one thing, Austin. I think we need
Go
to
ahead,
be,
Katrin.
yeah, I think we need to be clear as well to let everybody know. So if you cannot attend, it will be really good for Austin to know so that he kind of can
Yes.
plan for it. Because I think we have 22 agents, but if only 2 or 3 show up, sometimes this is a challenge. You know, we want everybody engagement.
And I have on the roster who's dual career and who's not. So I understand that if you have other commitments and you can't be there, that's fine. It does also help me to just let me know. Now, you don't have to give me all the ins and outs and details why. If you want to, you can. But I just need a simple email or text back saying, hey, I can't make it this week. Okay, thanks for letting me know. And I'll tell you that. Thanks for letting me know. Like, that's helpful. Now, that kind of is a perfect segue because what I do want us to focus on as well is I have had some feedback that we're getting too many emails and it's getting confusing. And that's not just coaching. That's the market center wide. Too much is going out. It's hard to follow. It's kind of what Krista was just saying too. Like we have a lot of training, we have a lot going on. And sometimes it's hard to figure out what dominoes do I line up and knock down first. My goal moving forward is 1 email per week to start the week. In moving this to Monday, Friday, I get to see you guys on the end caps of the week. Now, I will also see you on Tuesdays at team meetings, and I will see you through other times throughout the office. However, my thought process behind this is at the start of the week on like a Sunday or maybe Monday, you'll get an email saying, hey, here's what's coming up this week, and here's what you should be in. So if there is a market center training that I think is worth you attending, that will be in the email. I know I didn't send one this past week, but this would be an example. Like you get one Sunday that says, hey, see you guys Monday morning for Zoom training. By the way, there's a contract last Monday night. Then you should be at the team meeting Tuesday, and you should be at group coaching and role play on Fridays. If there's anything else, I'll put in there. I will probably have a disclaimer in that email or a little footnote that also says, let me know by Tuesday or Wednesday if you want to do an open house this weekend, so we can plan those. And then the other side of the communication will be that Facebook group. So I need everybody to join that Facebook group. If we need to set up a group text or like a group me or WhatsApp, we can. I'm trying to avoid doing that because it's constant revolving door of people coming into coaching and leaving coaching that it can get a little confusing in there. And I don't want everybody's phone blown up with text. Facebook's a lot easier to check the notifications on. So everyone join the Facebook group. And then accountability partners, we'll talk more about this next time we're in person. But I am going to start pairing you guys up with people of similar experience levels where you can kind of hold each other accountable. Then it's not coach saying, hey, David, why weren't you in training on Wednesday? It's Lynn Ann saying, hey, David, missed you on Friday. Where were you? Not Wednesday, but you get it. And it adds additional touches. We good with that?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Any other questions or thoughts before we log off? Told you we'd be done by 10.
One more thing, Austin. I feel that
Yeah.
some of the agents do not receive all the emails. I heard constantly, I didn't know about this training, or I didn't know about the team meeting, or I didn't get the Zoom link. I think we need to stress the fact that there is the agent portal and that there is this calendar, and everybody should know how to get there.
Yep. All right. So that'll be our one of our first Fridays. You can also bring that up in the team meeting, and Bronte can show you in a matter of like 30 seconds how to access the training calendar. With that being said, when I register you into the group coaching roster, I use the email that was used when you were onboarded with Keller Williams. Some of you put down your KW email. Some of you put down a personal email. Some of you created an email later and used a different email. So if you're using an email that you're not getting and you don't think you're getting all the emails, send me an email or a text with your email. Sorry, that's a lot of words using email. Send me a text or an email with what address you want to be used, and I will update the group roster. So that way, when it gets sent out, I have a contact group called Active PC. So that's where it goes to. If you are not getting all the emails, like you should have gotten one at like 9:05 today saying, where is everybody? If you didn't get that, it means I have the wrong email for you. And I can change that at any time, but that'll be super helpful too. Thank you. And then make sure you add me to Facebook and I can add you to the group. Cool. Anything else?
Can you remind me the
are
name
you
of
talking
the
about
group?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Silly Zoom.
The name of the Facebook group again.
It's 6 Figures by Design, I believe. It might be coaching. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. 6 Figures by Design coaching. We have 9 members in there currently. I can tell you who they are in a second. So Krista should have gotten an invite. Barbara should have gotten an invite. Eric got an invite. Nicole got an invite. Katrin, Linan, Aaron, Samia, David. Oh, Krista, you're in there. Okay. I just got a request from Jennifer, Shade, Chris Spawn, Rhonda are all in there. And now I'm getting requests. Perfect. Yep. So make sure you join that. I can send you an invite as well. I can also send an invite via email. So I'll do that today. And then just let me know if you have any trouble getting in. Cool. All right. Thank you guys. I'll send out emails again to update everybody too on, we'll start that new schedule next week. So you're free from me for the rest of the week this week. And then next week, we'll kick it back off on Mondays with lead gen and Fridays in person.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will see y'all soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.